We say things that don't mean anything, but thanks for listening. Yeah. Hello and welcome to We Say Things, episode 254. Sunsfan here with Cinderin. Hello.
So he claims it's 254. I'll believe you this time.
Do you disagree?
No, I believe you.
Good. I know which number you're looking at on the outline. That's not the one you look at. In fact, I'll just write an X here, Cinderin.
It's what you used to do. But that's not where I look.
You look into your heart?
Yes. It's getting harder and harder to look in there, Shannon, but I keep looking.
You'll find it one day. Thank you to our In Bruges tier, Lakers in 5. Amish Toaster, Radon Fails Again, Suns Fan, No Matter Than a Hatter, Crownfall Enjoyer, Captain Broccoli, Suns Nugget Boy, STGC Daniel, Monkey King Billing Department is dying without the promised A to Z dual lane challenge, Cinderin, Pepperballs, T-Coil, and Disco Farm D.
And the Mega Pope, Shark TM, Janie, Dop, Wooden Aftertaste, Anonymous, and New Year's resolutions date back over 4,000 years to ancient Babylon, where people promised gods to start the year right, Mr. Niebling. I can disprove that, Shannon.
Okay.
I think New Year's resolutions date back 2,025 years, because that's when the Earth was formed.
I see. Yeah. Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah.
Case closed,
that's
Niebling.
Incorrect.
Case closed. Thank you, Cinderin. Always with the amazing facts.
And thanks to our patrons, whether they're in the In Bruges tier or not. If you guys want to... Jesus, I need to drink a little bit. If you guys want to support the podcast, you can check out patreon.com/WeSayThings. Obviously, there's multiple different tiers, and the ones we read out every single week to everybody's joy is the top tier, but there's lower tiers all the way down to supporting the podcast for a measly $2 a month if you want to chip in. It's been, I would say, so remember when we put it in? I don't remember which episode it was. It was like 50 or something. People are asking us to make a Patreon. And it's been pretty consistently supported since then. So that's been really nice.
Yes, thank you.
To see that people enjoy the show and effectively want to subscribe to it. So, very cool. Now, as our blessing to you guys, because you're so nice and supportive of the podcast, we have almost no topics today. And that's because literally fucking nothing happened. There's very little. There is one main new talking point, I suppose, which is the change up of roster for
you're talking about Dota news. We do have topics.
Yes.
That are going to be good.
That's true. Yeah.
But the topics could include Dota potentially. I feel like this is something that now that the Valve team, the Dota team, is super small, this is something that we're going to be running into constantly. So it's about whether people want to hear other random topics or not. So I know that the comments are going to be filled with people saying yes, but I mean, whether that's actually true or not, who knows?
Imagine we do this podcast every week and we just talk about all the cool shit happening to every other game than ours.
That would be kind of depressing.
It's like, oh, so there's new patch notes for Rocket League. What do you know?
Yeah.
Going over all the patch notes. Oh, Rainbow Six got a little bit of an update. You know?
I mean, we're definitely in a different era of Dota, which I'm okay with. I think I've settled on it. Used to be very angry about stuff like this, Cinderin, but I've mellowed out, of course. You know me, Mr. Reasonable and calm and collected.
We've both pulled each other toward the middle a little bit. You used to be extremely negative, and I used to be way too positive. And now we're both just sad.
Yeah, that's...
Which is great. That's
our next cast is just going to be off the rails. Just depression all around.
Going out with a bang.
Yeah, that's true. So let's talk about the one Dota thing, which is Tundra roster, Cinderin. Duraccio, yes. What's he doing there?
Oh, not only him, also BZM, but that one has been rumored for a while, right? So that one is not as surprising. But yeah, Tundra have replaced Lorinov with BZM, which I believe was their original. I don't remember if they said in an interview or if it was just speculation, but the common consensus that people seem to have is that BZM was the first choice that they couldn't get out of OG's contract. But I'm assuming now with the exact turn of the new year, maybe his contract expired, or maybe it was easier for them to find a solution to get this guy on the team. So they now have BZM. And then they managed to also grab Duracho. So now the full roster from position 1 to 5 is Duracho, BZM, 33, Soxa, and Whitemon. Interesting changes, right? So you replace Lorinov for BZM, and you replace Nightfall for Duracho. Nightfall's currently inactive, so he's just, I guess, under contract, so they want to, trade him off or whatever. I guess that will be part of the speculation is what he's going to do. I'm not sure. What's your gut instinct when you see this team? Do you think it's better or worse than the previous one? Do you think this is like a title contender?
When you say previous team, do you mean the one at TI?
No, the roster that they just exchanged with Nightfall and Lorinov. Do you think this is a better team?
It's probably a lateral move, I guess.
Okay.
I think, again, I don't know the inside information on any of this, but Nightfall doesn't seem like a guy you can really rely on. It feels like to be for a tier 1 team. But then again, Duracho kind of had that label as well, right? So I think we're going to see whether... So there was a lot of people, and I wasn't on one side or the other because I loved watching Duracho because he makes the most hilarious plays. But how much of that was dictated by Gaiman's style of play where he needed to play like that? So I think we're going to see whether he can play a different way or if maybe that play style actually works for this team. BZM, I think he's really good, he was very inconsistent, and I think the last 6 months on OG, he was just outright terrible, honestly. The other three, I think, are like tier 1, easily. I'm not worried about position 3 through 5. It's really the 1 and the 2 that are questionable, which usually is a bad sign, right? I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like you're struggling to find, how to say, more than like a single bad game in a month for either 33 Soxa or Whitemon, right? They're just extremely consistent at a very high level. Like you pointed out with BZM, toward the end of OG, that's probably the worst I've seen him play. But the thing is about stuff like that, I usually say that it's hard to look good on a bad team. But I think in that team, the team was all right, and he was definitely not pulling it up. Let's put it that way. He had some absolutely outright crazy stuff happening where I was like, what is he thinking? Almost felt like tilt in a sense, in like a bigger sense than the game itself, but more like tilt on the situation with the team overall or something going on in his life or whatever that's distracting him from playing at his level. Can only speculate to that, but there was like a couple of weeks where BZM just flat out. I honestly think it was fair to say he played terrible relative to the standard that we're used to seeing, right? You're always going to judge people based on their peak. And he was in a different world in those couple of weeks. We cast some of the games together, right? We were like, I don't know what's going on there. I think Duracho, in my opinion, didn't really go out on as much of a low as BZM did in terms of his previous team, because I think Gaiman as a whole just weren't functioning particularly well. I don't feel like Duracho stood out as an underperformer in that team. I think he was an absolutely key part of a ton of the games that they won. And also a part of a lot of the games that they lost, just like everybody else in that team. But it's also because of the structure and how that team functioned. I think it's more likely that it's going to look like that because, as you mentioned, their like approach to the game was very fast-paced, very early mid-game oriented, which means, well, if the early mid-game fails, either because their lanes go poorly or because their draft isn't good enough for what it's supposed to do, then I think a lot of the other tier 1 teams are just better, right? But Gaiman were just insane for like a year at running games over. So my concern with this roster when I look at it is, usually when we talk about this, we're like, are there too many greedy players in the same team? I wonder if they're greedy enough, actually, on this one. Because Duracho made a name for himself on Gaiman as a very fast carry player, right? Active, around the map, playing these hyper-aggressive carries like Weaver, Chaos Knight, etc. And I would say, in my opinion, BZM's best heroes are the Spirit heroes and Puck, and he doesn't play them very farm heavy necessarily. He can do that on Exort Invoker, but a lot of OG's games, BZM would be like third net worth among their cores. And then you have 33, who is very greedy, in my opinion, as an offlaner. So in this roster, the greediest player is the 3. But in this meta, I don't know if that's good, that maybe Duracho will have to adjust and play a greedier playstyle simply because of the way the meta has shifted and the game has developed, where a lot of the hyper carry players and a lot of the greedier mids are finding more success. That is my biggest question mark. I have no concerns about whether these players fit together on a thematical level. I think they do. It's just, is this the right patch for this roster? Is my question mark, really. It could be that they completely crush everything too. If they can unlock a way of playing faster and just controlling the map very early. 33 is a master at that. And Duracho with early gate plays and early aggressive laning could, maybe they can take some inspiration from what Gaiman used to do and pull it into there and apply it.
Yep.
I guess all in all, my verdict for this, you said it was a lateral move. I think this is an upgrade, but in the sense that I think the ceiling for this team is championships. And for the previous team, I think that was unlikely. But I wouldn't necessarily say the floor is higher as well. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree.
I think that's kind of where this team is at for me right now. But it'll be great to see them play. Obviously, this is a team that a ton of people are going to be super excited going into this year. And yeah, that's like the big roster move that was announced now. Another one that was announced today. And I have to find this Reddit comment because it cracked me up, okay? It's an OG roster update, Shannon. You ready for this one?
Mm.
All right, give your... Did you read this?
No.
Perfect. All right, what do you think they did?
Well, let me look at their roster.
No, don't.
Oh.
What do you think is the change?
Kezu coach.
He already is.
Okay.
That's not changing.
Kezu not coach.
Incorrect. He is supposedly still coaching, or at least still trying coaching for this team.
Okay.
It is, drum roll, Seb is standing in for the 17th time
I'm so
as position 3.
Was he not already on the roster?
Oh, he was off, and then now he's back again. There was this this comment is really funny. It's from I Only Play Rubik, and he wrote one last ride _V12 final 5 final parenthesis 6.
Who was the 5 before this?
Dude. Who did they have in the offlane? It was Whisper, right?
Oh, right.
And Whisper is moving to Heroic.
So wait, Seb is playing as the 3?
Yes.
Back to his old position.
Exactly. Yes. And this is so funny to me because he played 3 and 5 and 3 and 5 and 5 and now 3 again. Like, he just... Well, I genuinely wonder, what is it going to take for this guy to not play anymore? And I'm not saying he should retire. I still think Seb is a great player. It's just funny that it's like he keeps trying and he just fucking can't.
They run out of players. I thought that he was... I guess I was just remembering it wrong because I remember seeing X Nova as a trial position. I thought it was just temporary and Seb was going to eventually replace him.
X Nova was a trial and Seb was then not playing for that period because then X Nova was 5, Ari was 4, and Whisper was 3, right?
Yeah. And
that was the roster where they got 23 Savage and 9, which they're holding on to all the other players, but Whisper is out and Seb is now standing in for... I've lost track how many times. It's funny.
Yep, good stuff.
So yeah, that's another team that's going to be interesting to watch, of course. It didn't end well this last year. OG are a shadow of their former selves. They've been for a couple of years now, to be honest, with the exception of the one major tournament they did win. That was actually with Seb as position 3, I think, funnily enough. So maybe there's something there. But yeah, that's, as far as I'm concerned, that's pretty much the Dota news, unless you want to talk about the thread of 9 days ago with the lurker in the Chinese community trying to explain the downfall of Chinese Dota for us. Could go over that if you'd like.
If I don't remember anything about it, so if you want to take over, that's fine.
So I think we've had this conversation on the podcast before of why do we think China isn't as good as it used to be? And this guy is basically summarizing it in 5 bullet points.
Oh my.
I say this guy, we should probably name him. It's Shopping Practical 373, which is a very interesting name. Sounds like your favorite tool AI has generated that.
That's right.
But maybe he just likes to shop practical. Who knows? So he's breaking it down into 5 parts. Number 1 is Tencent, which is no surprise. We've talked about that. League of Legends, Honor of Kings, other games that are being published in China and are being way more promoted and advertised. So they're pulling in the new players. The second reason he's giving is OG and Team Spirit, where they effectively defeated the number 1 hope for Chinese Dota with LGD in those TIs at the worst timing when China won Worlds in League, like in 18, 19, and 21. So that's the exact same year as LGD failed to win. So perhaps that has given them more positive press and drawn more attention to that game, etc. And then, in my opinion, this is obviously, he's just listing the options, not in order of how important they are. This is where I think it gets more important, actually, in some ways than the other 2. So the third one is that Perfect World has not addressed Smurfs boosters, matchmaking abusers, and paid actors and win traders. And I know for a fact that this is something that was a lot of drama about in Chinese Dota, that people were genuinely being paid to throw against each other, against streamers in high-level pubs. So it festers, right? It like fosters this community where people are trying to get a quick buck and just fuck each other over, right? Rather than actually nourishing the up-and-coming players. Then we have the whole scandal with more or less, and I think this is a bit of an exaggeration. He's writing an entire generation of tier 2 to tier 3 pros got banned for match fixing. I don't think it's an entire generation, but it's a lot of good players that effectively, we had that. You remember this? We went over it on the podcast, I want to say a couple of years ago. There was this like huge list of banned Chinese pro players, which I think amounted to like 40 players or something when that came out, that just got banned indefinitely. There were some gems in between. They never,
Well, it's a combination of that and then us, knowing behind the scenes that there's a lot of match fixing in China. Like, it's the most prevalent region for it. And despite these bans, that there's a lot more, which is pretty bad.
And then the final reason he's giving, which I think is probably the smallest one, is LAN culture getting replaced by PCs and phones. Because I know that maybe this is just me being naive or ignorant because I'm from Western Europe, where this development happened earlier. But I think when it comes to games like Dota, getting people out of LAN cafes doesn't feel like that is as big of a factor as I think people give it credit for, because games like this a lot of the time get passed down through word of mouth, right? It's like, all right, what should we play? You're playing with a friend, you're like, hey, you should come play Dota with me, it's really fun, we should try playing it, etc. And I guess the exposure you have to it if you're in a LAN cafe is, I understand there's a lot of people in the same place playing the games, but if those people in the LAN cafe that were playing Dota now stop going to LAN cafes and go home, they're probably still going to play Dota, right? And they're probably still going to tell their friends to play with them. It's just that percentage of people that would discover the game specifically through cafes might never discover it, right? But like, how big of a fraction is that really? Who knows? Maybe it's a bigger deal than I think it is. But I would guess in both NA and SEA, where it's being given some of the blame for Dota's decline in those regions in terms of professional play, I think in NA, it's a lot more about...
I don't know why he'd list NA as part of this. That's not
I feel like NA
true.
was not so much about LAN cafe culture, but way more about sponsorships and longevity and being
NA,
able to actually have the
NA
same
is
function.
just more console based. It's always been for whatever reason.
And Dota is too expensive in NA as well, right? For a lot of orgs, they would rather look toward other regions or... First of all, that, and then the region didn't present or didn't produce very good results for many years. So then, the bigger sponsors start looking elsewhere for better exposure, for stronger teams, and then it becomes this vicious spiral, right? For SEA, I guess it's a mix. Like, I understand, again, the angle with the LAN cafes. I get it. But I also think for SEA, it's a matter of that generation that is coming up in that region, just like in China, they're just playing other games way more than Dota. And I don't think that's because of LAN cafes per se. I just think the games that are advertised, the games that the youth get into are Mobile Legends Bang Bang, other mobile games, League of Legends, you know. So I think there's like a more constant influx of new players, and it's just a math equation, right? The more players you have, the more of them are going to be really good. Like it's up to chance, it's up to conditions, but ultimately bigger player pool equals more good players on average. So that's just
I wonder what would have happened if LGD won against Spirit that year.
Yeah. Or against OG.
Well, the Spirit one, I think, was more... It felt more of a turning point in a way. Like, that felt like the last chance in some ways, right?
Yeah.
Like, looking back. But, yeah, it's a weird one. Okay. Yeah, interesting post, though. Good content. Yeah. All right, so the next 3 topics, we're going to be kind of recapping the last year, looking forward to the new year, and fittingly, Cinderin, I prompted ChatGPT to make the backgrounds for these.
Oh,
and I was
very good.
I was really happy with this first one, so hopefully you'll enjoy it.
Please be awful.
So, the best and worst of 2024, even though it says 2025, that you can ignore.
The B and the worst. Yes.
Yep. There we go.
Damn, this technology is unbelievable.
I love this shit.
So here's what I like about this AI art is that no real artist would have made this.
Yeah.
You just know. This one has to be AI. Nobody's sick enough and fucked up enough to make this.
It is too unhinged. I agree.
And they would not have written Wast either.
Maybe if it was Slacks. He misspells a lot of things.
Yeah, okay. Fair.
Okay, so the way that I want to do this is we're going to talk about...
Did the horse shit on the ground?
What?
Did the horse shit on the ground and it has 2 legs?
Yeah, that looks like shit.
What prompt did you give it?
I said something about...
Draw me a 2-legged horse with 2 microphones taking a shit and celebrating best and
believe
worst.
it or not, I didn't write shit at all. So I said best and worst of 2025 graphic for our podcast with a maniacal-looking horse in the background, and this is what it came up with.
Why did you ask for the best and worst of 2025 when it's about 2024?
Well, I said 2024, but, you know.
And then it gave you 2025?
Yeah, people are just...
fucking hilarious.
And that's just ChatGPT.
There is no way. You're blaming ChatGPT. You 100% told it.
I can check right now. I mean, you could be right. You could be right. Let me see.
If you prompted it for 2024 and it wrote...
Let's see. Oh, you're right. I did 2025. Okay. Yeah, that's my bad. Okay. That's my bad, guys.
Right. I was like, this technology has no future. We can't repeat a 4-digit number. Oh my God.
So yeah, we're going to talk about best and worst team, best player of the year, best game, best tech, worst tech. And it does not have to be Dota. It can be.
Okay.
Mine is mixed. Like, I didn't think about that fact until after the best team. So my best teams are all Dota.
Yep.
That's too late to change now. So
I mean, I guess what we could do is we can do Dota for team and player, and then we can do like if you or I have a special mention for another game. So we do like a Dota category and then the overall one if we want to add and mention somebody.
Just do whatever you want. How about that?
Cool. That sounds good.
All right. Do you want to start? How do you want to do this?
All right. I can start with best team, Shannon.
Okay, go ahead.
Best team in Dota, and honestly, probably in esports that year.
Yeah,
is Falcons in Dota. Ridiculous average placement, consistently getting top 3s, winning. I think it was 8 or 9 events across the year,
but not TI or Riyadh. Should mention
not the 2 biggest, but still, I will generally, and I know this is like a topic that people discuss and have very different perspectives on. I personally think it is a lot harder to place consistently high across the year in 10 tournaments than it is to win the 2 biggest. Because it's not like teams slack off and don't try hard for the other tournaments that are worth $1 million. And you're like, they're just coasting it, waiting for TI, you know? Like,
well, plus there's the factor that every patch that Valve comes out with is nerfing Falcons. and it's nerfing them for, well, not for Riyadh, but for TI specifically, right? Like that's the end goal, whether they are actively doing it or not. Because you don't want the same teams to just dominate the whole year, but they did. So I would agree. Falcons throughout all esports is team of the year. I have a runner-up, which is Liquid, which is fitting, even though they won
For
TI.
Dota?
For Dota, yeah.
Okay.
So Liquid would be my runner-up because they were just extremely consistent. They won TI, second place a lot. I mean, that's really covering 2 years if you want to really count that.
Mm-hmm.
If I had to look out to other esports that I even remotely follow, FaZe might be up there. They got a lot of second places, like tons, but they got so many final appearances that it was almost expected that they would be in the finals and then lose. But still, second place every single time is pretty freaking good.
I guess the thing about that's a little bit like comparing apples and oranges is I think overall the amount of tournaments FaZe played versus how many tournaments Falcons played is just, there's like an order of magnitude and difference. Or, we're when we watch CS, you and I, or at least me, I think you, for the most part too, you watch the biggest events, right? You don't watch every tournament or like tier 1.5 or whatever. I don't know how many major tournaments FaZe played and got top 2 or top 3 at this year. But there's no way it can be as many as Falcons, right? Because the amount of tournaments they were grinding is just unreal. But then it's a matter, okay, how competitive is the field? Is it more impressive to get 6 second places than getting, if you were to divide down relative to how many tournaments they've played, I still think Falcons' results are probably more impressive to me. But I understand why you mentioned FaZe. I think that's a fair shout.
All right.
CS.
Worst team of the year.
Oh, so we
second.
always preface this with not the worst team in the scene, but the one that underperformed the most relative to the potential, right?
Yeah, obviously you could just look at the bottom of the standings and pick that team.
Right. God, this one is actually difficult, I think.
Mine was really easy, but go ahead.
You think so?
For me, yeah.
I think you picked OG.
Okay.
Did you?
I'll let you know after you go.
No, give me yours. I'm thinking still.
All right, worst team of the year by a wide margin was the Phoenix Suns, Cinder, and they fucking sucked all year. They've taken a fan that has watched every single game since 1993, and they've made him only watch games they win just because they are so fucking hard to watch. I'm so uninterested. They have no heart. They traded away anybody with heart on the fucking team. They've taken a complete diehard fan and made him a casual pleb. Like, that is fucking
their,
sad
GM.
existence.
Did he just shit the bed or what?
No, the owner's great because he's spending money, but yeah, they made some. I mean, this goes back to the big trade we made where I was live on stream when they traded Mikal Bridges, who was my favorite player, for Kevin Durant. It's like, yeah, you're getting an incredible player, and yeah, Kevin Durant's played great, but like, you're giving away your heart and soul of the team, which we've never replaced. And then we go out later on and trade Chris Paul for Bradley Beal, which is the worst contract in the league. Which I
can't believe they did that.
Yeah, Bradley Beal. He's been injured constantly, Cinder, and it's just watching this team is painful, even in the wins.
They should have traded him for Chris Evans.
That's the Marvel guy, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, he would have probably smashed the court.
He's definitely cheaper, so I can't even argue with that.
He's probably cheaper, and he has additional resources available, such as magic.
So, yeah, the Suns are 15 and 17 right now, a little mini NBA segment. They fucking suck ass. But the hot dogs are cheap.
Really unfortunate.
So that's okay.
That's true. The hot dogs are cheap, and it gives you more time to do other things.
That's true. I've been working on the game. My runner-up...
The silver lining is that you get more time.
My runner-up for worst...
Sorry your team is doing badly.
Thank you. My runner-up for worst... I'm very apathetic about it now, honestly.
Okay.
The second worst team of the last year is every team from China in Dota. And I don't even think I need to explain that.
But I think... Okay, so here's me challenging this is, were the expectations high?
No, I just want to beat a dead horse.
Right?
Like, I could have put NA there, but there's zero expectations. Where China, they're still a remnant. You picked them to win a tournament this year. So Don't forget.
after that, I have stopped. I have stopped predicting them.
You
for
stopped
anything.
at the end of 2024. I'm talking about 2024 as a whole.
When did I stop? Was it in September? I mean, that's still a decent amount of the year that I believed
after
in
TI.
them. Actually. Yeah. I don't think China is a team, Shannon.
So we'll make it
you're
work.
Not going to get off that easy.
We'll make it work. Okay, you've had plenty of time.
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult because there's the team as an org where you're like, where is Team Secret? They've barely made an event. There's teams like Team Nigma that have history, but that history is starting to be so old now that I guess the expectations are low. I guess people had more hope for OG than they did for Secret and Nigma. Do you think that's fair to say?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
I think so. Overall, with the org having better recent results for the most part and having more participation in bigger tournaments, but just never... maybe... A year is long. I feel like maybe OG did well in a tournament in February, and it's just like, you can't remember everything and kind of conceptualize the entire year, but in Western Europe, relative to the org's history and the potential of the team and the players they had, I think OG might have been the most underperforming team. In the world...
Just pick the Phoenix Suns.
Yeah, it's probably the Phoenix Suns.
I'm sorry. Not to go on another rant, but just to give you an idea.
Kevin Durant.
That's very good. Cinder, just think about this. In all of professional sports in the U.S., so NFL, MLB, I mean, well, volleyball, like literally anything, the Suns have the second highest payroll of anyone. Think about that for a second. Of any team, number 2, and we're this fucking bad. Okay, go ahead. You can.
Who's number 1? Is it the Lakers?
No, I don't actually remember.
No? Golden State Warriors. Look, I can list teams now.
Golden State is up there. Actually, don't know.
What about the Alabama Albacores?
Yeah, that's not a team.
Oh,
I mean, it might not be NBA.
They play in 3rd division. I have a bit more in-depth knowledge about basketball than you do. I'm sorry.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you think OG is fair? Am I missing something?
No, it's fair. Definitely fair.
I wonder if I'm forgetting, but it's like, I guess at the end of the day, if that's the one that comes to mind, then that's kind of what it is for you, right? Even if you think longer, you're like, oh, it could be this one too. It's OG. But we'll see. 2025 is a new year, and Seb is back on offlane for the 17th time in his career, so this time it will be back to good again. Best game.
No, we're not the best player of the year.
Best player of the game.
I can go first if you'd like.
Okay.
I have a clear number 1 and a runner-up.
For Dota or for all games?
All games.
For all games.
Best player of the year for me is Donk. He is redonkulous. He's 17 years old. He's on Team Spirit. They just won a major. He broke records with his first performance on LAN earlier in the year. He is unbelievable to watch. It's just I feel like the word prodigy is used a little bit too often. It's overused, but it is very fitting for him. Like, he looks like a little baby. He plays like a fucking beast. It is just incredible. And I don't want to like downplay his team, but he makes his team look like shit by comparison. Like, I know we've had maybe situations like, have we in Dota where one player, like when Miracle was at his best, did he make everybody else look like shit? Like on his team?
No, because Dota is a game where everybody looks good together, I think.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
But Miracle was... Because stat lines in Dota and everything doesn't work the same way it does as in Counter-Strike, right? But peak Miracle was probably the closest comparison Dota 2 has to Donk. I think, and then the question is, who's the more iconic player between Miracle in Dota 2 and Vigos in Dota 1? But that's like... Now we're going back 20 years, right? For that guy to be the player. Because I was like, it's funny, like if you go back and you watch highlight clips of what Vigos pulled off back then, you're like, wow, this looks so easy and so normal. It's like low rank Immortal players or even Ancient or even Legend players do this today. The stuff that he pulled off back then. But at the time, it was ridiculous how he was innovative and played his heroes. And Miracle was just... He was just better. was like you could tell that he had better game sense than everybody else in the world at his best. And he made perfect itemization choices, had extremely good understanding of what his role in the game was in every game. Like, that was a beautiful thing to watch. And that's, I don't know if I'm not getting the same vibe from Donk because I just don't understand Counter-Strike on the same level. That's probably it. I can't appreciate how good he is. I just see a lot of kills and I see him winning a lot but it's harder to appreciate like the finesse when you're not good yourself, right?
Well, it's
really,
his aim
like,
and
getting
reaction
most
time
of it.
are like obscenely good, like robotic, but you can't be at this level without having extremely high IQ as well. So it's a mix. And then, so
Yeah.
Donk is, I guess we should mention what we did last year. I have mine written down at least. So best team was Gaiman with runner-up of Team Spirit. Worst team was Alliance, runner-up Nigma.
Okay.
And then best player of the year, I picked Zaiwu. So this year it's another CS player in Donk. But this year I do have a runner-up, and that is Malrine. I think technically he joined Falcons like the end of the previous year, but most of the success was 2024. Relatively unknown player to the masses before then. Like, people knew who Amar was, and Amar had a great year, of course, but Malrine, I think for most people, kind of came out of nowhere, and he played incredibly. So
when you say best player, that means you think in Dota, Malrine was the best player of the year, or you think he was the standout player? Because to me, there's a difference. Like, if you come from nowhere and you become a massive icon and you become amazing, right? That's one thing. But do you think he's the best player as well?
I think he was the best player of the year. Yeah.
Okay.
I think so.
That's fair. I think it's tough. I think for me, it's probably between Amar and 33. If I had to pick one. But they have like different accolades, right? Falcons had ridiculous results. I think Amar has been, a lot of what Amar offers to that team isn't necessarily inherently obvious when you watch them play, but it means a lot when you watch them draft. That kind of power to have in a player in the team that teams are respect banning 2 or 3 heroes against your offlaner every game means you're a star. There's just no way around it, right? It either means you're a star or that you can only play 3 heroes. And that is not the case. He's expanded his pool a lot. I think that's been the most impressive thing about Amar for me, is how many more heroes he plays than 2 years ago, where that was what he was criticized for, was, you only play 4 heroes. I think this year he's played like 20 different heroes in Proto at least. So very, very much a more varied player in terms of pool. And for 33, just like we talked about earlier with the Tundra roster, I just think it's hard for 33. You're hard-pressed to find a game where he truly fucked up. I think he's just very, very stable, very skilled, high impact. Reminds me of watching Zai, in the sense that Zai was also never really... He was always very consistent to me. And I know he had bad games, but it was by design. That was my opinion. Like, that he was thrown under the bus in the draft, and they gave him hard games because they knew he could make it work anyway, which is an incredible quality in a player. 33 accomplishes that in a different way, where he rarely gets given bad conditions, but he also performs to an extremely high average level. So yeah, I guess those two. But I also think Malrine's a great pick, and I think overall I can understand Donk. It's the same discussion as it was with FaZe versus Falcons then, right? Like, Donk won a major, they've been playing amazingly, but he has also played fewer tournaments than Falcons has. So are his accolades more impressive than Malrine, right? Because
has he played?
He
You keep
more.
saying that. Is that actually true?
I'm pretty sure. Like, the amount of tournaments Falcons played. Maybe I'm just not following CS closely enough.
No, you're right.
But
based on tier 1 tournaments, at least.
Yeah, it's gotta be almost twice as many if I had to guess. But maybe that's a bit too much. Anyway, good list so far. I can definitely understand your choices, and I don't disagree. It's just close.
All right.
So what's your best game then?
Yeah, best game last year for me was Counter-Strike 2. This year, best game. Huh?
Well, where does that rank this year?
We'll see. Best game this year is Helldivers 2. Helldivers 2 has been a breath of fresh air. It's incredible what kind of a universe they've created, what kind of engagement they've gotten from the community overall based on just storylines and having people feel like they're a part of something, like an initiative. I think the way that they've done things is so unique. So for me, and it's not like I played a ton. I can just check right now. Because again, like for you and I, like you play fucking WoW more than anything, but like mostly we play Dota, and these other things are just like side games. So Helldivers, I've played like 40 hours, so it's not like a crazy amount, but I've still been more impressed with that than any game in recent memory. And then the runner-up for me is, even though I don't know if it should count, is Hades 2. And again, these are games that I've played.
Yeah, Hades 2 is not technically out.
It's not technically out, but I mean, that's the game I played the most after Helldivers. And I did add some honorable mentions because I didn't play them, but I know that other people really like them. So it's worth mentioning. Balatro and Wukong, which Wukong looks like a game that I might actually like, so I might buy it at some point, but haven't done that yet.
Am I misunderstanding? Isn't Black Myth Wukong kind of Souls-like? But you don't like the Soul, or you don't want to play the Souls games?
I don't know what it's like. I've been told that it's Souls-like, and that means nothing to me.
Dark Souls is not for me, but if you're a monkey...
The monkey looks fun, yeah. No, I mean, just fighting against bosses, like boss fights are cool inherently, right? And there's a ton of them. So, yeah, it looks pretty cool.
So, when we do Game of the Year, it's always games that were released that year, right?
No. Games that you played
it's because otherwise Game of the Year for you can be a game that's like 10 years old, right?
Fine.
So a game and it had to be a game that we played ourselves.
Yeah.
That we have to choose.
And if you have none because it's just World of fucking Warcraft every time for you, then you can just have honorable mentions.
No. I have played games this year.
Okay. Prove it. Just like you've watched movies this year.
Just going down memory lane here. So, I mean, Tears of the Kingdom was good, for sure. I don't know if I would pick that as... That's the thing, though, because it was a really good game. And for me, I personally thought that... what was it called? The previous one. Wow, why is it not coming to mind right now? The one before Tears of the Kingdom. You probably can't help, but chat definitely can't help. Why is that eluding me right now? Holy shit. Completely blanking. What was that called?
You're doing great. BOTW.
Breath of the Wild. Holy moly. Okay. Yeah. I think Breath of the Wild was a better game, personally. But it's also one of those cases where maybe you felt like it was better because it was new. And the next game in the series, that it was very creative and it was innovative. And the next one is obviously going to give a different take on it, but not feel as much of an overhaul, right? Because Breath of the Wild was a truly new adventure. And this next game felt a little bit more like, all right, this is like Breath of the Wild, but then we're changing some elements, right? Kind of how it's, without having played it yet at all, it's entirely possible that Hades 2 will feel less impressive than Hades, not because it's a worse game, but because the step from no Hades to Hades might be bigger than Hades to Hades 2, if that makes sense. That's kind of how I see it. But I'm just struggling to find a better pick. That's the thing.
Just pick World of Warcraft. We'll accept it.
Because a lot of the games that I've played this year are indeed older games. Like, I played a lot of Path of Exile, which I've really enjoyed, but I can't give that Game of the Year, right?
Well,
I've played Dota a lot.
Path of Exile, the new one came out just recently.
Yeah, PoE 2, but it's a beta, and I've played too little to rate it anything. I guess Last Epoch also came out this year, but I don't know if it deserves like something like that. I don't know. It's honestly tough. You know what? I'll chicken out. I'll just say Tears of the Kingdom out of a better choice, lack of a better choice. I'm probably going to regret this in 5 minutes. Let's move on.
Okay. We move on to the worst game. So this is where things get a little weird because I'm not picking games that came out. Just, you can have your own criteria. I don't give a shit. Okay, you can pick World of Warcraft for everything. Worst game of last year was CS2 for me. This year, the worst game of the year is also CS2. I don't know if they've even changed a single thing in the last year. I mean, obviously, that's not technically true. I'm not even going to go on this rant, but if you guys go back 1 year and listen to my rant about Counter-Strike 2, everything is still the same.
Right.
Like, there's so many maps they can be implementing. I mean, maybe they'll finally be putting in train and cash and shit, which I think are in the game technically. They just haven't put it as part of the rotation. Like, the MMR system is complete hot garbage. Tons of cheaters in the game still. Subtick is a fucking embarrassment. Somebody is still jerking themselves off at Valve to this idea of subtick. Just put 128 tick in. I don't even want to go any further. Just, it's so sad. The fact that it's still so popular because the game is just good, right? But they didn't make it better from CSGO to CS2. That's the fucking sad part. So, still waiting. Go ahead. This is probably harder for you.
Yeah, it is. I guess the worst game I've played this year was probably the alpha of Relic Arena.
That might technically be true, actually. Okay, I'll accept it.
No, I don't know. There's nothing that comes to mind. I was like, oh, I bought this game. What a waste of X dollars. Or holy shit, I hated this. Or what a waste of time. Because like I said, most of the stuff I've played a lot, and that I've
surely you opened the game for 10 minutes and just didn't open it again.
I don't think so. I know that sounds crazy. I'm going through my Steam history right now to make sure, and all the games I'm scrolling through, I'm pretty sure. Honestly, I had a ton of fun with my girlfriend playing Pal World. That was actually a lot of fun too. I don't remember when the release date of that was. January 19th this year, actually, or 2024. So I will put Pal World above Tears of the Kingdom. I actually think I had more fun with that game. I thought it was really, really cool. A fun take on, a lot of the stuff that Pokemon did and just making it into effectively what that game is. It's a merger between Pokemon and survival games, where you like build a little city and you need to get resources and blah, blah, blah. We had a lot of fun playing that game, and I logged 72 hours in it. So that definitely goes to show that it was a good game. So I will pick that actually as my new release from 2024 that I enjoyed the most.
Okay, really
not finding a shit game, Shannon. I'm still scrolling.
We can skip it.
I give up.
I only put that in there just because of CS2 anyway. It'll probably be the same next year. Yeah. All right, best and worst tech of the year. And it doesn't had to have come out, but maybe it affected you personally in a way. It can be a mix. So last year, my best tech was like AI, like ChatGPT. And then my runner-up was MetaQuest 3, even though I never used it, but like the piano app seemed really cool to me. And then the worst tech was Twitter, which I refuse to call by the letter, which I could have picked that again, I guess, this year. It got even worse. My best tech of the year is the bidet that I purchased, Cinderin. It's fucking incredible. I've already talked about this ad nauseum, but it is the best purchase in the last few years for me, just in general. The thing is incredible. Cleans your anus thoroughly. It feels terrific. Like, it's just made things so much easier. What do you mean? It is tech. What are you talking about? Of course it is. Okay. How is there any question? I don't have to go in the shower and stick the fucking shower head up my anus anymore. Okay. It's built into the toilet. It's great. And it was only $1,000. best 1,000. Okay. The two best $1,000 that I've spent are that bidet and this chair. The Herman Miller chair. I use both a lot. So yes. Incredible.
Probably equally.
Yeah. And then my worst tech of the year, and I can't say that I ever used this, but the Cybertruck. I've been finally seeing them on the road.
No way. You've actually seen one in the wild?
God, they are so god-awfully hideous. How are you not embarrassed to drive this abomination? It's not only ugly, it's not even fucking functional. They fucking break all the time. They just had a secret recall of all the batteries. What a fucking joke of a product.
Holy shit.
Hideous.
Whatever idea I would have had for bad tech, there is no way it beats that. That is my worst tech of the year as well. I agree. I see pictures of that and I'm like, I cannot imagine.
So bad.
Okay, how about this? How cheap would it need to be before you would consider it?
I don't have no idea. Playing this game again.
Like these are fucking. I mean, how expensive is a Cybertruck? I'm gonna look this up.
So if you're not including just selling it, right, and making a profit, like the gaming the system, then I just wouldn't want one in general, just because of the principle behind it. But
how much do they cost? Cybertruck.
I mean, like $40K probably, right? 40, 50K.
Wait, they're that cheap? I thought they were like.
I can chat GPT. I have no fucking clue. How much does a Cybertruck cost? ChatGPT. $80K. You're right.
Holy damn! I actually hit it on the head, huh?
People spent $80K on that. Are you fucking insane?
What I mean.
Are you fucking insane?
Like,
I was basing off the idea that it was $40K. That's fucking joke.
The fact that you thought it was 40 and thought it was a shit purchase, and then it's actually 80.
Oh
my all right.
God,
that's
dude.
All right. Shannon, my tech of the year is the air fryer.
Oh, yeah, we have.
It is not a new innovation by any means, and it's also not 2024 that we started using one. I guess it's technically 2023, but I don't think
really stretching the rules on this one. But sure.
Yeah, I mean, you also didn't start. Actually, you did start. You're stretching, dude. Your fucking bidet is tech. Okay, don't talk.
How is it not tech? Literally, it's tech. What do you mean?
How is an air fryer not more tech than a bidet?
No, it is, but
okay, all right.
But you got the air fryer. You said before 2024. So.
I think we had it in 2023. I think that's when we started using it. I could be wrong though.
That's fine though.
It must have been. It's yeah, I like that, and I know people are like, "Oh my god, people won't stop fucking talking about their air fryers." I'm not out here preaching and like telling my friends, all of them, like, "Oh, you guys have to get an air fryer; it's the best thing ever." But it's really convenient and it's really nice, and we've been using it a lot. So
good. That
has been in our day-to-day lives, I think, the best tech purchase, if you will, that we've made in the last years. So that gets, I guess, my reward. Not a particular one though.
Fair.
But. It's a good tech. Worst tech, I mean, I don't know. What can even beat Cybertruck? I'm actually like struggling to.
I couldn't think of anything else.
No, it's bad. Yeah. Oh, you know what? We'll just flat out agree on that. I cannot think of anything worse than that.
That's fair.
Okay.
All right, let's move on to games we're looking forward to in 2025. Here's what the AI came up with for the picture, by the way.
Okay.
Very epic indeed.
Oh, another 2 microphones and controllers for Terrorblade and Invoker.
Right. That's right.
Merged together with... Wait, who has those wings? It looks like that's a hero in...
Isn't
is
it
she called
from,
Mercy?
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing.
Which
Overwatch,
game is that? That's
right?
Overwatch 1, right? Mercy. Yeah.
Might be in 2. Who would know?
It's like Mercy and Doom, the video game, merged with Terrorblade.
Pretty epic.
Good. All right.
All right. So games.
I can go first on this one.
Yeah, go ahead. Games we're looking forward to in 2025.
So this is obviously coming with the asterisk of will they actually come out this year, as always is the case. But if I had to guess, my list last year included probably Hollow Knight Silksong, but that didn't come out last year. So
I don't have anything
I hope it
down.
comes out this year. All right.
I don't think we did this.
That is my number one most anticipated game. Is Hollow Knight Silksong. I have to be honest, I'm not sure if there's an official release date for Path of Exile 2. The beta's out. I think it's probably 2026 that they're aiming for, so we're not going to count that. So yeah, mainly, I guess Hollow Knight Silksong just flat out my number one. What else would we be looking forward to coming out? Hades 2. I'm assuming it's this year. I have completely stayed away from the beta by choice. I just want to play the game when it's finished and not spoil myself on anything. I don't know if it's actually going to matter, but I'll definitely play the crap out of that when that comes out. Yeah, that's probably my big anticipated games.
That's a short list.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't have that many that I'm like just, oh man, I can't wait for this game to come out. But we'll see. Maybe I'll have overlap with one or two of yours when you remind me how little I think.
Yeah, I feel like I should have made a list of movies I was looking forward to as well, but I don't remember anything now. I'm sure there's a couple that I'm really looking forward to. But in terms of games, Relic Arena, of course, 2025.
Of course, sure.
Looking forward to that.
That's true. I was not considering that, but
Grand Theft Auto 6 is going to be probably, easily the biggest game of the year. I don't think there's a question.
Have you played the others?
A bit, yeah. I probably played more GTA 2 than any of the other ones, but it's
that
still
is the one I've played a lot.
GTA 2 is great.
So
the top-down view.
Yeah. Oh my god, I loved that game.
GTA 3 I did play a decent amount as well. They're really good games, and it's one of those games that I don't know how much I'll play it, but I'll definitely play it. Like it feels like just the rite of passage to buy the next GTA game. They're just so big.
Were you interested at all in the whole craze around GTA RP? You didn't watch it at all?
No.
In GTA 5, yeah. I didn't think it was your thing, but
Slacks is into that, though, of course.
Yep.
I'm looking forward. I've been saying this for years now. How many years, Cinderin? Fable? Supposedly,
is it announced for next year?
Yeah, supposedly 2025 is when it will be released. Supposedly.
Nice. That's cool.
We'll find out.
Could be really good.
One of the few RPGs that I liked in the past. Slay the Spire 2 as well, slated for this next year. That should be fun. That was a really good game.
One was a great game.
I don't know if it's going to be this year, but there's been heavy rumors on Half-Life 3. So
don't believe that shit.
It's been a little bit different this time with the rumors, to the point where I actually believe that they're working on it. But who knows if it's going to be this year at all.
Half-Life 3 and Deadlock at the same time?
Are people even
what do you
working
think
on
is
Deadlock
more
anymore?
likely, Shannon? Okay, Half-Life 3 comes out this year, or China wins a single tournament in Dota.
Half-Life comes out.
That's more likely.
Yeah. I have zero faith in China.
God, that's good. All right, cool. Okay.
I don't think Half-Life would come out this year. I do think that it'll come out within the next 2 to 3 years. I genuinely actually think that. It's been long enough. I'm a little bit worried. We talked about it before, that it feels like it's only been 2 Half-Lives, but it feels like there was a huge step in technology. I don't even know what you do now. Like, they had the VR with Half-Life Alyx, but VR is kind of a gimmick. I don't know what you would even do to make it worth the effort, but it'll be nice to be able to say Half-Life 3, if I'm being honest. And it'd be nice just to play a single-player FPS game. It's been so long, They're all just multiplayer these days, it feels like.
Yeah.
And then I have an honorable mention, which I'm not sure if I'm going to purchase, actually, which is Civilization 7. And the reason I don't know if I'd purchase is because I feel like I buy them pretty regularly, and then I play them for like 10 hours, and I never touch them again.
Yeah.
And every iteration of Civilization feels like it's basically just like the last. Like, they'll add a couple things like,
Shannon,
it's not enough of a change for me.
This is why you need to trust in the wise words of your good friend saying you have to play Alpha Centauri.
That's the one that was before Civilization 2 or after?
No,
maybe?
It's the one that was before Civilization 3, I think.
So between 2 and 3.
I think the game, if I'm not mistaken, is from like 2001 or something, or maybe even older than that. And it's the one that's obviously set on Alpha Centauri. So 8 factions escape in pods from Earth as it gets destroyed, and they settle on Alpha Centauri. Really, like, if you don't get turned off by old graphics, I think the gameplay and the whole like lore and the videos and the tech and all of that game is actually really, really nicely done. And it's a different take on Civilization, right? Because all the other Civ games are based on quote unquote reality, right?
Yeah.
This one is a lot of imagination. Okay, what could tech be like if we could do quantum stuff? What if we had this or that? So that was
my favorite Civilization game. Still, not to be an old guy with GTA and whatnot as well, but Civilization 2. It's just the best Civilization. Like, nothing comes close to it, and yeah, maybe I'd like that one. Okay.
I'll actually check when that's from. I'm curious now. Alpha Centauri release date. 1999.
That was a good year. That was the year of The Matrix.
Right. Oh, yeah. That was probably the year I watched it, too. The only time.
Oh, God.
Let's
not start this again. All right. Final topic of this day is our New Year's resolution, Cinder. And I, again, ChatGPT'd this image. I said, make an image of our 2025 New Year's resolutions with Cinderin and Suns fan. And according to this placard here, you are on the right and I am on the left. Would you like to
I'm trying to
describe
think of
this
who
for the
guy on
audio
left reminds me
listeners?
of. The guy on the left, I mean, he's got glasses like you, so he got that right. But then he's got like a golden orange hair and beard with a mustache that's seemingly coming out of both nostrils.
Yeah, that's
Um,
true.
and I honestly, mine is a lot closer,
It's
but still,
closer.
it's like cartoonified. It's close enough. It's like I've got like a black beard and very defined eyebrows, which is accurate actually.
Did you notice I have 6
Um,
fingers?
Oh, do you?
Well, there's 5 here. You don't see the thumb, but the thumb is implied
Oh,
as
that's
the
true.
6.
Yeah, that's okay. I'm trying. I feel like you remind me a lot of someone, but I'm trying to think of who it is. It's just not coming to mind right now. Like a streamer or someone in esports.
Yeah, I'm sure it
That
took
kind of
somebody
looks like that.
random.
It does not look remotely like him. It's really fun. I like
Alright.
my stylish, very big necklace though. That's
Yeah, those look like those chocolate balls that you unwrap and eat them. I forget what they're called.
It reminds me of when I was in Manila for the Manila Major in 2016, and in the airport we were given this like, I think it was just a traditional Philippine necklace or whatever,
Mm.
and it was like this big, just this big necklace. That's the only time I've worn that, so I'm sure ChatGPT found a picture of that.
Yeah, that sounds right.
It really does look like chocolates though, dude. I kind of want a chocolate necklace now. That'd be nice.
Well, that could be on your
Okay,
New Year's
Shannon.
resolutions.
New Year's resolutions.
All right. Do you want to go first or me?
Yes, I can go first. So I have 2, and they're actually kind of tied together. Number 1, I want to spend less time on my phone. It's a bad habit of mine to wake up and then be on my phone for like an hour and a half before I get out of bed. It's not that it's time wasted.
Good Lord.
Yeah. It's not that it's like time wasted, because it's not like you did nothing, right? But I would rather spend that time on something else that's either more productive
Like
or
World
more
of
rewarding.
Warcraft?
That's where it comes to the other New Year's resolution, which is I have been streaming a ton the last couple of weeks, and I would really like to continue streaming a lot. I'm very motivated with that, and it's something I want to continue to do.
Mhm.
So my second New Year's resolution is I know I can't keep up the current schedule I have. It's not going to be possible because of events and whatnot, but I would like to maintain my current motivation for streaming and be excited about it when I come home from an event, be like, I can't wait to get back to streaming, instead of, oh, I'm exhausted after this event, I just want to do nothing for a week. And really have that feeling of I want to be on. So that's my second one. And yeah, those kind of go hand in hand, right? Because if I'm not spending as much time in bed, well, it's an extra hour that you could spend on, for example, streaming or doing your chores earlier, so you have more energy later in the day, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, those are probably my 2.
Okay. Very good. I'm surprised you don't have watch more movies that Suns fan recommends to you, but just saying.
That's not really. I was gonna say that's not gonna be that hard because I need to watch one, but I'm sure you'll hold me to that in like
You probably wouldn't
a
even do
year,
it
and
anyway.
we'll be like,
Yeah.
oh fuck.
Yeah. I mean, it would be good for you to write these down, by the way, so that we can reference them next year. It's always fun.
Well, didn't you have the best and worst of tech and player and team and stuff? Don't you have
Wait.
like a file with that?
Yeah,
Just put it in there?
that's mine. I don't keep track of your
okay.
shit. Think I give a shit about your resolution, Cinderin? Huh?
Nope, that's fair. Okay.
Okay, my resolutions, 3 of them are kind of connected, which is continue to play pickleball twice a week. It's been very good.
Nice.
I'm enjoying it a lot, and I'm getting a lot better. I want to try to do some sort of a workout on a third day of the week. I don't know what it would be. I don't think pickleball is possible based on people's interest level that I play with. And then eat healthier. So all connected. Just don't be a fat mess, basically. And then my professional resolution, I'm not even going to put Relic Arena on here because it's so obvious.
Okay. Yeah.
Cast a LAN finals with Cinderin.
Wow, you want to?
The last time we cast a LAN finals was Captain's Draft 4, the minor.
No way.
Right?
Is that true?
Yeah.
Are you sure about this?
It's the only LAN finals that I've cast. So what else would I have cast?
Oh, it might be the only LAN. We've definitely cast a finals.
We've
since
cast
then, but it might not have
finals,
been LAN.
but not.
Okay.
Yeah, not with it like audience.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Someone in chat just asked, are these supposed to be realistic? I think he has a good point. Let's stick to what you can actually achieve.
I'm probably not
Shannon.
going to get to any of these this year, but, might as well put it on the list. Just roll it over to the next year, so it's fine. No big deal.
All right, that's nice. I would like to cast the finals with you. I would enjoy that. Okay. I wrote down mine. I'm guessing you wrote down yours.
Yes, sir. All
how do you want to eat healthier? Do you have like a strategy in mind, or is it just like an overall like thing? Or is there something specific you want to cut, something specific you want to eat more of, or
calorie counting, basically?
Okay.
But I think I need to stay a bit away from sweets. That's probably my biggest issue. But in terms of just calories that I eat, I don't really eat that much. You eat more than me, which is fucking just incredible. You eat like a fucking horse. No, you eat a lot.
I think your perspective on how much I eat is... What's the word for this? I don't know. It's shaped by...
the times that we hang out that you go ham. Sure.
When we hang out, it's at events. And I think at events is when I eat the most. At home, I probably eat, on average in a day, I don't know, probably the GDA or a bit less, if I had to guess. Like, and then maybe there's some days where you're like really hungry and you'll eat extra, whatever. But on the average, I eat like, I'll have a little lunch, maybe, and then dinner. That's it. And then I mostly drink water and some fruit juice and some milk. That's it. So it's like very simple at home, but
yeah, that's
at events. I understand when we go out to a restaurant, sometimes I'll just go complete fucking frenzy mode.
I don't know how someone can eat so much. Like even if you were
when we are in the
pounds.
green room at a lot of events and there's just free chocolate, I will gladly admit that I am the snacker of the event. And yeah, I don't know. It's just I don't do it
fair.
at home.
Yeah,
I don't take it home.
I don't see you at home, so that's my only impression. But yeah, I think I don't eat as much. At least I don't feel like I eat that much relative to how fat I am. But I think it's just the fact that I have not been active. So it's pickleball twice a week. That's pretty much it now. So I just need to up that, and then maybe I don't even need to change, other than not eating Taco Bell and all this other
get
slop.
A dog for your cats, and then you can walk your dog an hour a day.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't mind having a dog. It's just it does not fit the lifestyle. Nikki and I travel way too much. It's just we know so many people with dogs, and like if you go to somebody's house, like you have to leave at a certain point. You just can't leave them alone. Like it
largely works for us because I am traveling a lot, but Susie's not traveling so much, right? She will occasionally maybe go to an event for a couple of days in a year, and then if that's an event that I am not a part of, I can watch the dog at home. And if we're both there, we can get it taken care of for a few days. But for the vast majority of the year, she will be home. And for the majority of the year, I am also home. But yeah, whenever I'm away, she is a champ. And obviously we can get help from friends and whatnot as well. But yeah, if Nikki travels a lot as well, whether it's with or without you, if you're both on the road a lot, it's really hard to have a dog. It just is.
Yep. Wouldn't be good for the Doge. So cats it is. I'm not complaining, of course. Cats are the best. Okay. That'll do it for this episode. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Hopefully you enjoyed the recap of 2024 and the things to come in 2025. Notice that we didn't put anything Dota related on that list, pretty much.
Well, hopefully there is a very fleshed out calendar for this year. There are so many events announced, but we're still in the early stage of the year where talent lineups aren't announced. Talent aren't even necessarily communicated with yet about stuff that's happening in like March. Maybe February stuff will be, starts happening in early January. So there's just a lot of things to be figured out. But yeah, hopefully we'll have more info on upcoming lands and upcoming tournaments in general in the next couple of episodes of this. But yeah, for the time being, it's still early days of the year. And I believe the first major tournament happening this year is happening in January. So January itself starts off a little bit slow.
As it should. Quarter one sucks
then we
ass.
ramp up later. It's the worst month for esports in general. That's the worst ad revenue. There's like depending on where you want to hold the event, it's like it's not an attractive month. People have less spending money because they just spend it on Christmas and New Year, so you're not really interested in that to sell tickets and blah blah blah. You know, like it's just not the right month to go big.
Yeah.
So
okay, thanks for watching, everybody. Until next week, goodbye.
Bye bye. Merch.sunsfan.gg. Don't forget to check out our merch at merch.sunsfan.gg.